Hey, welcome back, music lovers, to Pure Adrenaline here on Stylin' Radio, brought to you by NOS Energy Drinks. I've got one in my hand right now, sipping, tasting good. I've got the grape version. Izzy, which one do you have?
Sour apple.
Sour apple. Ooh, yeah, I love those too. I think somebody just brought those in.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that.
We just got a pallet in that come in either over the weekend or yesterday. I can't remember.
Oh, damn. Yeah, the original, the mango. You know what? I love them all. The sugar, I'm probably going to get into the sugar-free ones here pretty soon just because
they're
really good.
The sugar-free one's called Turbo, and I still think it's funny.
Yeah. And then, something NOS. They're in February. Now that we're here, they are celebrating their 20th anniversary. So February of 2005 is when they came out with the first energy drink. It was based off of, nitrous oxide. They had the little bottles that it looked like. And obviously the NOS, the energy drink, has just exploded. And it's good. When you have a product that's good, people will buy it. So thank you, NOS. We appreciate it. Congratulations on 20 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
let's see.
Yeah, I've worked with NOS Energy Drink over the years on several projects, and they were, what's interesting is our marketing department didn't hit them up; they hit us up.
Yeah.
And they were wanting to sponsor a show, and we're pretty real with you listeners. They were actually going to sponsor the afternoon show, but then we have a catalog of different shows that we do, and they saw the Adrenaline show, and they were like, we want that. And so we're like,
they
okay.
Want that. That's what we do. That's what we want. And, we appreciate them here. And it's awesome. So the first couple of hours, we were on rant and rave mode. That was fun. Sometimes you just got to get out of dose of reality. And I think we're going to spend the next, rest of the show talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And, it's coming up. We could probably chat more when we come back Thursday. But today there was just a few things about it is, first off, I know that, you said you were at one. I'm not sure what year. But
yeah, I was trying to remember that too. It was when
I'll have to take a look because it was the Rams.
Yeah.
We were joking because it was in New Orleans when you saw them.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid and going back, that was the 1980 season, the 1981 Super Bowl, and it was also in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, the Super Bowl was cool, but it was nothing like the billion, 1.5 billion viewerships spectacle it is now. It was nice and it was whatever, but it wasn't. The Super Bowl may be the biggest one day, one event party worldwide of the year. And I know the World Cup final, it has twice or three times the viewership. But just from a party perspective, Super Bowls and Super Bowl parties, they're talking in the U.S. of making the following Monday a holiday because it's the number one sick day of the year.
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
And so, there's so many things about it. It's fun. But I know that trip back in New Orleans where I went is one of my friends. Now, his dad owned a pharmacy, and that was back before the chains of everything happened. You had your local pharmacies. He knew of a vendor that had tickets and gave him 3 tickets so him, my friend, and my friend's brother, they could go. Well, the brother of my friend had something come up, and he couldn't go. And they had everything already done. So in the last minute, and I say probably like a week or a few days less before that, they asked me if I could go. And I'm like, I go home and I'm like, hey, Mom, guess what? I go, if you say no, I'm going to get a new mom. And so she was laughing. I was laughing. Everybody was having their thing. And I get to go to the Super Bowl. Like I said, it wasn't the huge spectacle. The tickets kind of sucked in the Superdome, which is what was back then. It was just a big, massive thing, but it was fun. That's the year the Raiders beat the Eagles. It reminded me because the Eagles are in it this year. And so we had a West Coast team. the Raiders, you know, get to go back, and we got to watch them win. And that was one of the, you know, childhood events. I don't really put it on my bucket list just because today getting to the Super Bowl is almost impossible for, you know, mom and dad. I mean, you just don't go out and buy tickets. You almost got to know a freaking congressman or a senator, or, you know, be best friends with one of the owners to be able to get any of them. And, you know, so it was that was great. You know, I had so much of a blast. And someday I always said, geez, can I go back? And I'm like, nah, I wouldn't go through all the headaches that it would take to get there, but it was fun. You know, I'm not sure when you were there, what year. I'll again look it up, but would have been a few years later. And I mean, did you have, you know, was it any memorable, you know, situations from it? I know mine wasn't.
Well,
it was a football game.
Well, we got paid to do a halftime tailgate party with Slick Chick.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
The one year in New Orleans, they had a power outage during the halftime show. It blew a transformer. And we actually got blamed for it because they thought, because we were all on the same power grid, but come find out, we weren't on their power grid. They had, something happened, and, you know, right after the halftime show, there was an explosion. It shut the stadium down for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And then they got back to resuming. But the tailgate halftime show, we always had fun, you know, and it was cool. We got to do it. St. Louis had the Rams, you know, it was a big deal for St. Louis, and it was a big deal for me to be a part of it. And it was really cool. And we did the Rose Bowl one year. We did a lot of tailgate halftime shows. And when I say tailgate, it's for the tailgaters, you know, which we've had different music acts, all kinds of stuff. So need to know you're in the stadium and they have a halftime show. They also have a halftime show tailgate party. So, I mean,
yeah, out for people. And New Orleans is fun. That's where it's going to be this year. Now I'm going to be in Vegas. But in New Orleans, what's so good about it is that it is a party community. Obviously, different times of the year when you get Mardi Gras, you have a lot of things there you can do that's building up. I'm going bring beads.
Yeah.
And people are like, beads? And they're like, huh, what? Well, it goes back to a story that a long time ago in a business thing, there was a trade show. And I was there. It was in New Orleans. With one of my good friends. He owned another company, and his 25-year-old daughter was there. She was part of the company and working and doing it. And she comes in. Well, I'll preface it a bit. We were talking to my friend about, hey, look at all these girls. You know, look at all these beads they're wearing. And he's like, yeah, I see that. What's that? What's up? He goes, well, you have a thing where if they flash you throw them a set of beads.
Yep.
And so, you know, they're going, you can see, you know, here you go. So we're like, man, this is great. He goes, oh, wow, that's fantastic. You know, I got to go out and try that. I mean, he was a fun dude. Well, about 30 minutes later, his daughter walks in, and she's got like 20 strings of beads around her neck. And he sits there, he stares, and he's looking at her, and he's speechless. Probably one of the only times in his life he couldn't put two words together for anything. And he's just standing there staring at her. And you could see the brain. It wasn't computing. Oh, that's my baby girl. And oh, he's got all these beads on. And oh, that's my baby girl. And you could just see the brain.
Oh, yeah.
It went into lockup mode, man. Blue screen of death. And he's just sitting there. And finally I walked up and I see daughter go, hey, you know, what's up? Nice beads. And she got a big grin on her face. And he looks at her and goes, where did you get those? And she turned every which way color because now she understood. I mean, it was so funny. But watching him just stare at her and go, it was freaking hilarious, man. So yeah, go to New Orleans. You got to have beads. And, you know, if you see girls walking around with a lot of them, hey, they're the ones. Thumbs up, man. Thumbs up to the ladies for that. So, but, you know, back to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I finally, you know, I like going back to the West Coast. On this one, we're actually going to Vegas. A friend there hooked me up in a place. We're going to do a party there. I had to kind of kill when I was going to have it home, and yet, I told you I can't come to yours, but
mine's not a big gathering. It's just some friends, But back talking about the Mardi Gras beads, we used to throw a party on Bourbon Street right across the street from Girls Gone Wild.
Oh, nice.
And everybody knows, or a lot of people know, or maybe you listeners don't know, Slick Chicken Girls Gone Wild's got an interesting history. So yeah, we booked the loft right across the street from them. I mean, when we booked it, we thought we were more next door, but apparently we were directly across the street. So it was always good times with those fucking idiots across, who was going to have the better party, you know what I'm saying? And they were always wild. But then somebody in GGW's office fucked up, and then the people that they leased their balcony from calls us and offers this fucking killer deal, and we moved the party to where they were. And that year they were at Mardi Gras, but they didn't have a party, so we could see their camera crew walking around, and we're like, yeah, man, we took your spot. Well, big as shit, the asshole across the street ended up fucking, so we basically swapped locations the next year. So I mean, that first location that we were at for a couple years, I mean, it was cool, but yeah, it was always an interesting thing with those guys. But what's interesting about Girls Gone Wild is they had certain standards they were looking for. No tattoos. Blonde, brunette, girl next door is what they were looking for. And they didn't like the Mardi Gras beads. Now, it's fucked up that they would go to Mardi Gras to flash, but they really, in editing, they hated the Mardi Gras beads. So it's such a weird thing with that. And yeah, I did a lot of stuff, with GGW back in the day, and it's like, it was kind of a love-hate relationship. But Mardi Gras and spring break was our big deals, you know what I'm saying? And, it's just, there's a time and era for that. And then, after the DVD market kind of got screwed up and everything went to live streaming, those companies kind of fizzled out, except Slick Chick stayed in, and they're still in business today doing the boutique stuff. They got a line of coffee, and, they're doing all kinds of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, we did get an offer a couple years ago. It was actually during COVID. MTV, going into 21, they wanted us to go back on tour and do a reality show. But there were still COVID restrictions in 21. There was a lot of shit. And going into 22, they still had the thing on standby. I was waiting for them to pull the plug. And, everything was so fucked up back, a couple years ago. So,
well, yeah, and there's a lot of work to go into hitting the road. It's not as easy as people think.
No, it's not.
It's because, it's not like packing a suitcase, and if you forget your bathing suit, you go to Kmart or Walgreens or Walmart or whatever. You don't go there now. I mean, if you have fucked up gear that you didn't bring, or something happened, or something goes wrong, and you're touring or this and that, I mean, you eat shit, and so it takes months of preparation to make any of that go right. And so yeah, I'm going, trying to, and you know what? The other one is age. It's easier to be on the road when you're young.
Oh yeah.
When you get older, it sucks, man. It's not near as fun. And I get you when not wanting to. Now, if we go on the road, picking and choosing events, throwing our events, doing things, but it's not like we're going to be traveling 35 weeks a year. So
yeah,
that shit can get old.
Yeah, and that's just like with styling. We've had a lot of requests, a lot more than I thought we'd ever have, of different events and different stuff that they would like to have the radio at. And, we're kind of picking and choosing what we want to do. But in the same sense, we have events of our own. And, you know, it's kind of what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, and the ones we do are the ones that are important to us, and that, you know, we're gonna have fun with. So
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. You know, I mean, we haven't released our dates yet. That will be coming. That will be coming soon. You know, we've got a lot of different stuff in the plans and the works, but you know, as we know, you guys will know. So, but on that note, guys, we're gonna get right back into the music.
West Coast Paul out.